Yo, what's up guys? This is Dan Slam. Today I'm going to show you how to recreate Roxanne by Arizona Zervas in Pro Tools. When we're all said and done, it's going to sound something like this. Okay, first things first, let's set the tempo to 350. This is a little bit unorthodox. 350 is the beats per minute of the hi-hat, but I found this really helps with producing this and snapping everything to the grid cleanly. Next up, use your MIDI keyboard to record a simple hi-hat noise, and then we loop over this over and over. As you can see in our grid, if we use that 350 tempo and we look at this at the 16th note level, you should have a hi-hat every other note. In terms of hi-hat sound settings, it's kind of a harder hit. It doesn't sound too frilly, so you want to set the adjuster at approximately noon. Next up is the bass drum. This is a heavy hitting bass drum. In terms of selector here, we select the bass drum at about 1 o'clock. We don't want it to be too boomy like this. This is the perfect thud to match the song. I also add some saturation to the bass drum to give it more body and dimension. This is a really nice free plugin called Softtube that I'll put a link in the video description. Now we add the clap and the snare. In terms of selector here, we have a clap that's about 4 o'clock on the dial. It's a pretty high pitch clap sound. In terms of snare, this is a pretty muted snare. It's about 2.5 o'clock on your dial. Now we add in guitar. This is acoustic guitar that's played pretty high up on the fretboard. I've added the chords here. And this matches the production radio version of the song perfectly. In terms of settings for the guitar, there's a couple plugins I use for this. First, Gate to get rid of any background noise. Then I add in some light reverb with a pretty strong decay. This gives it a nice echoey quality. Then I add one of Pro Tools' default acoustic guitar equalizers. I don't really adjust any of the default settings here. We add in some compression, adjust the gain, the threshold, and then again, I really like this saturation knob. That's a free plugin. Now we bring in electric bass guitar. This is recorded on a MIDI keyboard. In terms of settings, we're keeping the defaults here basically, and using the full finger bass that's included in Pro Tools. Next up, we add some atmospheric sounds to give the song some more richness and body. We get that luscious sound using instruments like this. We use the soft pads, the sweeping overtones instrument built into Pro Tools, and we also use a clean, funky organ. And here's the settings we use for those. The lead I use for this is a subtle, distorted synth that drops when the chorus hits. This is a mixture of instruments. We're using a bright pad organ, we're using a soft lead lost in space, and actually some bells, the nasal bells. All these are built into Pro Tools. Here's the settings we used. Last but not least, we add in the vocals. This is me on the mic. In terms of plugins, there's quite a bit happening here. The major ones to note are the Autotune plugin by Antares. This is a paid plugin, but absolutely worth it. It gives so much more clarity and pop and richness to male vocals. We have a couple compressors on the vocals. We gate this again to get rid of background noise. We use the vocal composition equalizer that's built into Pro Tools, but we manually bump up the high end of these vocals for the sound we're looking for. We add subtle reverb to the vocals just to give it a little bit more richness. We add a subtle delay as well to give it a bit of echo. Finally, the saturation knob that I've been talking about throughout. And that's our finished product. Here's what it sounds like in full.
Roxanne, all she wanna do is party all night. Goddamn, Roxanne, never gonna love me, but it's alright. She think I'm an asshole, she think I'm a player. She keep running back though, only cause I pay her. Roxanne, all she wanna do is party all night.
There you have it. That's Roxanne by Arizona Zervas, built from scratch in Pro Tools. If you like this video and want more, subscribe, follow me on Spotify, on SoundCloud, that's Dan Slam. Comment what song you want me to recreate next, and I'll make it happen. Enjoy, guys.